Here we go, cut this miserable song on repeat. Cause you seem to forget how much you are hurting me. Do what's right, you say you will, but then you don't. You just don't. You don't care, cause you don't take me seriously. Was there to repair if you don't want to talk to me? You should know your time is up. I'm out of mind. So I put you on a lifetime sentence, and you no longer feel my presence. So we thought I would let this stay. Thought you knew me so much better. You're on a lifetime sentence, so now you never feel my presence. So we thought I would let this stay. Thought you knew me so much better. So we thought I would let this stay. Thought you knew me so much better. Yeah. So we thought I would let this stay. No, that's right. The words don't mean a thing to me. Sleepless night, your love has left us incomplete. Thinking that your promises will last so loud. No, that's right. So I put you on a lifetime sentence, and you no longer feel my presence. So we thought I would let this stay. Thought you knew me so much better. You're on a lifetime sentence, so now you never feel my presence. So we thought I would let this stay. Thought you knew me so much better. 'Cause I don't. So we thought I would let this stay. Thought you knew me so much better. So we thought I would let this stay. So I put you on a lifetime sentence, and now you never feel my presence. So we thought I would let this stay. Thought you knew me so much better. We're on a lifetime sentence, so now you never feel my presence. So we thought I would let this stay.
What's going on, people? Excalibur, you're now a moderator. Sean Rucker, you're gonna love this stream, my friend. You are going to love this stream because we're going to talk like grown men. We're going to talk like grown men who are out here doing stuff. We're going to talk like grown men out here doing stuff. So I'm going to get right into it, guys. Here's the thing. If you didn't catch my last live stream where I talked about moving up in corporate America, you want to go back and definitely check that one. You want to definitely go back and check that one, because okay, that's Stanley. So Stanley, I need your state. Jeremy, if you're in the chat room, say something. And Stanley, if you're in the chat room, say something. Let me pull that mic down. All right, guys. So here's the deal. If you didn't see my last live stream, it was fire. It was fire for several reasons. One, because I have the credibility to speak on my lived experience working and out there competing in the work world. See, unlike a lot of people, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but who do you listen to? Unlike a lot of people, nobody's really been out here in corporate America and has a history of being in corporate America, working and competing. I mean, it's one thing to give an opinion. It's another thing to be able to look at a video and say what you think, but it's another thing to actually be able to lay out my resume and say, from here to there, I went from entry level to VP.
Very eye-opening streams.
So again, most people don't have to like, and the fact that I'm even having to have this, this stream is going to be a combination of my professional assessments and personal opinions. When I give my professional assessments, I'm just talking. But when I give my personal opinions, I am going to preface it and say, this is my opinion. Hold on. Now, this is my personal opinion right here. Personally, I find it sad that I'm even having to make these broadcasts. It's sad that young Black men don't have the knowledge, did not seek the knowledge, are so woefully uninformed about the realities of what the world is. That's why I find a lot of this sad. Because when I was a young Thundercat out in corporate America, nobody had to tell me a lot of this stuff. But what I realized is, like it or not, this is part of that, when I'm part of this almost post-racial society. And understand something. I'm not a race man. I'm not a race man. Meaning, I lead everything with race, but I understand the realities of a system, of a game, you know. And it's sad. Hey, is that you, Jeremy? Jeremy, I think. Jeremy, Jeremy, you're now a moderator. The fact that I'm even having to give these broadcasts to guys who were 23 years old and up lets you know how far behind Black men are. If you did not watch my last broadcast, let's watch a little bit of it now. I want you guys to hear some of the things that I had to deal with guys in the last stream. My last stream, I actually had a guy come in. He's a Hebrew Israelite. And he actually talked about, he knew that he had to cut his hair to get the job. But 3 months later, he grew his hair back out. But 3 months later, after getting the job, he decided to grow his hair back out after people got used to him. Okay? To me, this is nuts because you know that you knew how to play the game to get in, but you didn't want to play the game to compete. Hold on. This was the previous young guy. Let me see. So, hold on, I was letting the super chat read. I'm still going. I had to let the super chat read.
Yeah,
First off,
I was just saying, I agree with what he said. That's what I did too. Or that's what I aim to
I
do.
don't need you to go. I can't have you go to talk. It makes horrible feedback. So,
I apologize.
I didn't have my beard when I was in corporate America. No one did. No one had a beard. No one had facial hair. I can.
Yes, they say y'all look like hippies. Now, certain type of situation.
Couple questions.
There's more of a genealogy.
So
that was lockstep. Like the people who were issuing most people.
Okay, bro. Let me show, bro. Instead of trying to find it, let me just tell you this. One guy, 24 years old, who says he's a musician. Go back and listen, because when I just asked him simple questions, because this was about corporate America. It's not about entrepreneurialism. His main complaint was we should not have to do it. And I want you to listen to every one of the guys' responses. It always started out with, I feel. I feel. I feel. Let me say something right now. Men, young black men, you need to remove that word, I feel, completely out of your vocabulary. It makes you look weak. It makes you sound weak. It puts you in a beta position. It puts you in a feminine position. It makes people think you're emotional. And I'm gonna tell you right now, go through the comment section and look at how black women who understand and will play the game are sitting down looking at black men saying, all this over hair? People do not respect men who talk about, I feel. It's not about your feelings. Or you had guys saying things like, we should not have to. You are that for those kind of mindsets, you should have to. You did not build the company. Who are you to come into a Fortune 1000 company and say what they should and should not do? Very entitled. See, a lot of this, I'm gonna give you, a lot of this, in my opinion, comes back to being raised by your mother, with no strong male influence in your life. This is not an insult to women, because black women will get out in the world to compete. My mother, she became one of the highest ranking women in her company. She got jobs that only men had because she went and played the game. Black women are beating your butt in corporate America because they understand they have to play the game. It's my opinion that far too many guys were raised to be this way. This is my personal opinion. Professionally, though, I can tell you this. You take a cross section across corporate America in middle management and upper management, and there are few to no black faces, black male faces. That's what we're going to talk about. Middle and upper management, not just getting the job. Let me also say this. It's my opinion that a lot of black men are comfortable just being there, just getting a job. You have no problem just going in and getting the job. It's my opinion that many black men are afraid to compete because competition exposes your weaknesses. It's my opinion that you can be a great individual contributor, but when you get promoted to management, you have to take off the uniform and put on the suit, and you don't have the skills to lead men. To lead, you don't. It's my opinion, you don't. So this is why you have guys sitting around talking about, I cut my hair to get the job, then 10 years, and I got 5 years experience in this world, but I'm 40 years old. Why are you still doing a job that requires 5 years experience at 40? You should have moved up to middle or upper management. But this is what you see far too often. Black men who should have aged up and been promoted still at the rookie levels. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because the reality is you had guys coming in saying, well, why can white boys do this and white boys can do that? Everyone has to do the same things in corporate America. You don't see white men with mohawks and tattoos on their face and long beards in middle and upper management. You must represent the company brand, the mission focus, and the overall company brand image. To be on the masthead, to be on the website, to be associated as a leader in the company. Again, no one cares about your ability to work for an organization. Knock yourself out. You can work for them all day long. You can work for them all day long, but leading someone, no, not so much. So, let me see, pull up. Understand something. Personal expression is rebellious and counterproductive if it does not line up with the corporate focus, mission statement, and overall company brand. So let me get right into it. It's my personal opinion. My personal opinion, I cannot prove it. But based on being in corporate America for 20 years, working for companies like Mobile, MCI, Office Depot, working for smaller companies that don't exist anymore, but were competitors to the regional Bell operating companies that's competing with the Southwestern Bells of the world, competing with the AT&Ts and MCIs of the world. It's my opinion, after being a server, a waiter, working at McDonald's, I've worked multiple jobs across many different experiences. It is my opinion that today, many Black men are simply too weak to win. And let me tell you what I mean by weak. Weak means you understand that that something is going to be difficult. But instead of getting in there and saying, you know what, I got to fight this war, they are better armed and equipped, but all I have is a rock and a stick. Instead of going to war with the army you have, you decide to say, I shouldn't have to fight. I'm going to stay at this level. It's too hard. That's really what I heard a lot when I listened to those men. Moving up was too hard. It required them to do things that, understand something. The last guy, the Hebrew Israelite, openly said he cut his hair to get the job. And I said, it's permissible for you to cut your hair to get a job? And right then he knew he had been checked. What do you mean? And finally he said, well, I decided I could cut my hair. So I was like, well, if it was permissible to cut your hair, it's permissible for you not to have to grow it back. But the goal was never to do anything but to get the job. It was never to be better. It was never to get into a middle or upper management position. And here's the thing. Here's the sad part about this. As long as you stay down here at the player level, you'll never be in a position to put another guy on. So you cannot complain that all the men who are, I said, well, how many Black men in your company in middle or upper management have dreads? And he quickly said a whole lot because he misheard the question. What he thought I said was how many people at your company. And then when he heard that I said at your middle upper management, he said none. They are all pasty-faced white men. Well, guess what? Those pasty-faced white men played the game. They moved up. They put their friends in positions. And here's the thing. I said it on that last stream, and I'll tell you now. My professional assessment is, honestly, when I went to work in corporate America, my first day at the job, I looked around the office to see who my competition is. You may be on another team and this team competes with that team. We got that inter-office rivalry, but even on your own team, You are all competing for your manager's job. It is your manager's job to get you promoted, and it's your job to get your manager promoted to the next level. That's the agreement. But if there are 7 people on this team and 7 people on this team, and there are 4 teams of 7 people, that's 28 people and 4 managers. If there's a management job that opens up, you're going to have anywhere from 3 to 7 people internally interviewing for the job, not including the external candidates. What I want to talk about is Black men getting promoted internally, because here's the Black men's method of being promoted far too often. Going to work for a company, not being able to gain the respect of his peers, and having to go to another company to try to interview in to get that position. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it because far too many of you guys train your bosses. That's right. You're sitting in there training your bosses. How many of you have sit back and, you've been in your job for 3 years. They bring somebody else in and say, hey, Smash, here's Rob. Rob, Smash is going to be your mentor. Bring him up to speed. Next thing you know, you're teaching this guy the ropes after training. Far too often, the guy that you brought in and taught the ropes becomes your new manager. Why can't Black men compete in the organizations that they say I work for and my work should show the work? Okay, let's take that path. I'll be your huckleberry. You're out there working in IT and the whole notion that IT or something is different. I'll be your huckleberry. All right, you go get a job. How many years before you should be in management? I want people in the chat room. How long should it take you to get into management? From entry level to management, how long should it take you to get into management? In the chat room, in terms of years, put it in the chat room. How many years before you're in entry level management? See, somebody keeps talking about, and I want you guys to understand something. Every time somebody comes here talking about submit, that's that weakness I'm talking about. Why is it that no other race talks about moving up in terms of submission, in terms of having to kiss somebody's ass? That is a Black male pathology, in my opinion. You don't hear that from other people talking about in such negative terms. People have always said, you got to kiss up. You got to play the game to get in the boys club, to get the key to the executive washroom. It's part of the game. All right, guys. Honestly, to move up in corporate America, it should take 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years for the first line management. See, most organizations, there's an entry level and then there's a senior level position. And those entry level and senior level positions report to a manager. So I'm going to give you the basic lay of the land. You should be at your entry level for 0 to 3 years. You should be at the senior level from 3 to 5 years. And from there, you should have your name in the hat for management. Understand something. If you are in corporate America and you've been there for longer than 5 years, and you are not in consideration for management, you are behind. And yes, I will tell you, age does hurt. Ageism exists in corporate America. They'll tell you race doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, but it does. Companies are not likely to promote somebody from within with a massive age disparity between them and the people they're going to be reporting to. I want you to think about this. Let's say you're 40 years old and you're in an entry level position or a senior level position. And you got guys coming in who are 23, like that last guy I talked to, okay? The net of it is, here's what's about to really hurt. First off, let's hit the like button, guys. Let's hit the like button because I'm teaching. I'm teaching you guys something that a lot of people can't talk about on YouTube. Simply can't. They simply cannot do it because they don't have the experience. This does not map. It does not map over to anything. You know, no disrespect to my brothers in the military, but military in corporate America, they don't map. They do not map. The military and the real world do not map to one another. Get the likes up. You got 9 people who dislike the stream already. That's 9 feminine black men. Again, you don't have to like what I'm saying. Am I trying to hurt your feelings? No. What's the intent of this broadcast? What is my intent in this broadcast, gentlemen? What is my intent here? Anybody want to, what is my intent? And I also need, I'm going to need at least 5 people to throw something in super chat because this is a corporate level class. Because honestly, after I do my presentation, I'm going to take calls and open the panel. But if you don't want to learn this kind of stuff from somebody who's been there, done it, and someone who's still out there, I will let you go ahead and have to learn it the hard way. I don't get any benefit from teaching this stuff to black men. Honestly, people like it when you stay stuck. I'm gonna say, here's the link. Hit the super chat link, or you can use PayPal, or you can use the Patreon link. That's the best way to support is to become a patron of the channel. Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you some very real things that I've heard when I was in corporate America. See, once you get in corporate America at middle management, in management, you start to hear stuff. See, what you oftentimes will hear is, you know, that you often hear stuff like that Ben, he is a great guy. He's a great worker. He always delivers. Cash apps in the description, people. That Ben is a great worker. He's a great guy. He really is. He came through on the so-and-so, the Benjamin Farms deal. But
doing God's work, Kev, in marketing, and I know just how much of a hit this is to provide this level of access to yourself and time. Patreon already.
Appreciate it. They'll say that Ben, you know, but you know what? As much as somebody likes you, somebody will say, yeah, but he just doesn't have the killer instinct. Yeah, he just doesn't. He doesn't have the killer instinct. So they don't invite you. If you're not getting invited to lunch with managers, if you're not getting invited to lock-ins,
thank you, sir.
If you're not, I'm gonna have to get into this. Being part of this stream, I'm gonna have to end up taking this down because there's some truths that I'm gonna have to tell you that aren't gonna be popular. But you know, R.I.P. Kobe Bryant, the killer instinct. It's my opinion that far too many black men lack the killer instinct. And you lack it for a couple of reasons. One, because externally, you want to be liked by too many people. You don't want people to call you sellouts and all this other kind of stuff. You care about what people who can't do shit for you got to think about you. But number 2, secretly, you don't believe you belong there, or
you're dropping gems here, brother.
You secretly don't believe you belong there, that you're good enough, or that people will really respect and follow you. You fear that you'll get there and you'll fail. And it'll make you look bad and really reaffirm what you thought about yourself, what you've heard about black men, the black male image. You'll think you'll think that once you get up there, all the bad shit about black men is true. I did a video that says, you belong. Black men, you belong. Black men belong too. Black men belong too. I did this video from my car, impromptu. It was one of the most powerful videos I've ever recorded. And we're going to listen to a little bit of it while I take this break. I gotta go grab a package real quick. But I need you guys to understand that it's not the white man holding you back. More than anything else, it is you. It is you, it is you, it is you.
And then in one, sorry guys, it's bothering me. In one instance, everything crystallized when this older white woman comes by and asks me for a glass of champagne. Because black man in a tuxedo, you must be part of the help. Now understand the tuxedo, the other black men that worked there weren't in tuxedos. I was the best dressed man in the room. Yeah. And the CEO was mortified because it was one of the vice presidents.
This is what we need to hear.
That actually approached me. Yep, one of the vice president's wives approached me, asked me for the glass of champagne. And the CEO said, oh, this is Kevin Samuels. He works for us. And, he's in the catalyst, he's in the research lab and blah, 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 blah. And this lady's face was just like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And, but the fact of the matter is, I could have got pissed off. I could have went Malcolm X on her. Part of me wanted to, but you know what? The way I decided to handle it was even better. I asked her, yeah. I asked her, why would you ask me for a glass of champagne when the bar is over there? Why would you ask me for a glass of champagne when the bar is over there? The reason she asked me for a glass of champagne is because she didn't think I belonged there. There's no way I could belong there. There's no way I'm supposed to be in this room in one of the richest suburbs in the United States of America. There's no way I'm supposed to be in this room with engineers and financiers. There's no way I'm supposed to be in this little bitty high dollar organization. My work proved that I belong there. My results, my outcomes proved that I belong there. But you know what had to actually also prove it? My mindset. I didn't get mad, I didn't get angry. I checked her in the appropriate way. And I remember that. I'm not going to ever let anybody make me feel as though I don't belong. And that is what I see far too often with black men. We don't want to go to places, these upper echelon places, because you're afraid that you don't belong. There's a fear there that you don't belong, that some shit like that, some fuck shit's gonna happen. Well, let me tell you something. Your ancestors built this country. This country is what it is because of ADOS, because of the slave trade. We know the history of this country. There's not a place in this country where we don't belong. So I walk in everywhere like I belong.
It's not a place in this country where we don't belong. I went on down that broadcast to say, but if I've done what everybody else has done, I'll have what everybody else is having. I want my steak medium rare, my asparagus crispy, my wine chilled, my bread hot. That's the attitude it takes to win. It's the killer instinct. It's that Mamba thing. And so many of you young black men, you don't have it, but you can get it. I was not born with it. I didn't have it when I was young either, but you can learn it. I did. That's what personal development is about. Knowing your weaknesses and working on them. not expecting people to give you anything. Let me tell you something. Personally, I believe that a lot of you guys will sit there and just take it. You'll go in and cut your dreads to get the job. You'll cut your dreads to get the job, and you'll sit your ass there for 3 years. They'll bring somebody in, and they'll bring in Roger for 3 years, and then they'll let you train your replacement. You'll train your replacement, or you'll train your manager. And just like the last caller, you'll find out that guess what? You look up, and 15 years later, and there's a bunch of black men working for the company and being managed by a bunch of non-black men. Understand something. I think it's disgusting to only feel like you deserve the scraps. You'll take the scraps from the white man's table at corporate America, but you won't challenge them for the steak. Black women see this. Other people see this, and they look at you and say, you're not a threat. When you grow your hair out, when you come into a place with that rebellious image, they automatically know that's one less person I have to take seriously. That's one less person I have to compete with. You better believe that when you do these kind of things, because people are always looking, they look and say, well, personal expression means more to him than moving up the corporate ladder. So yeah, you may be well liked by your other colleagues, but they don't take you seriously when it comes time for promotion. And let's be honest. How many of you here's the thing. How many of you have trained your boss, trained your replacement, been passed over for a promotion, and you kept your mouth closed, or you had to leave the organization to get promoted? If any one of those 4 things are true, put a 1 in the chat room. You've trained your replacement, you've trained your boss, you've been passed over for a promotion and kept your mouth closed, or you've had to leave the organization to get promoted. Look at all those ones. Look at all those ones. Tell you what. Has nothing to do with systematic racism. You trained your own boss. You trained your replacement. Look at these people come in and talk about racism. Let me tell you something about racism. If you've been passed over for a promotion and kept your mouth closed, that's your fault. I'll tell you something about Kevin when he was a professional. When I went in to work at an organization, I'm gonna ask you about this. When you go to work for a company, do you have a career path? When you sit down with the company, do you say, this is why you're here and this is what you want to get out of it? Do you manage your manager? When you sit down and work for an organization, do they understand what you want out of it? Or do you just take the paycheck and shut up? And that's what happens far too often. You don't have a plan. You get a job and you're just happy to have it. Well, everybody else seems to be, because honestly, you're not taking it seriously. You're not taking it seriously and you're just happy to be there. Let me tell you something. I had that happen to me one time and I said, never again. I saw people who were less qualified than me, who weren't as good and nearly as good as I was, getting promoted left and right. But I was the guy everybody liked in the office. I was good old reliable Kevin. But you know what? I said no. The guy who actually gave me my first outside sales job, my buddy Daryl, the first guy I actually said enough with. The first job, because what I realized is if you want something, you got to fight. Closed mouths don't get fed. White people will tell their boss they want a promotion. They will tell everybody. They will make it known. There's a TV show on History Channel called Vikings. And there's a guy on there who became the first king of Norway, Harold Finehair. Every time you see him, he's talking about becoming the king of Norway. Who knows what you want? You people who talk about racism, you got nothing. You got no smoke. Because all you got is people who talk about racism, bring it. Tell me what racism has to do with you opening your mouth, making it known that you want a promotion. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry, Mode 1. Are you upfront, straightforward, and honest about your intentions and what you want? No, most Black men aren't. You're just happy to be there. So we're going to talk about one thing and another thing. I personally believe you don't tell anybody you want to get promoted because honestly, you don't want the responsibility. You don't want the heat. You don't want it because you can't handle it. You don't want the ball to be in your hand for the final shot. And that's what the killer instinct requires. That's why to be in middle and upper management, you have to be responsible for millions of dollars. You got to be responsible for more than your little truck, more than your little world. Do you want that kind of responsibility? Mickey Borden, understand something. I don't give a damn if you're an engineer for Eli Lilly. I'm a chemical engineer and I work for Mobil. You don't have anything to tell me, dude, about racism. Racism has nothing to do with it. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to knock that off. And when I open it up or call in, you can get yourself on and tell me how racism keeps you from opening your mouth. You're going to tell me how I want you guys to understand, it's mindsets like this. We'd rather blame the boogeyman of racism, which I'm not denying racism exists. All those things exist. But what are you doing about it? If you've been passed over for a promotion, if you've been passed over a promotion and kept your mouth closed, why? When I worked for a company and I saw all these people getting promoted, when it was my turn, they told me, we can't give you the promotion. We can give you the promotion, but we can't double your salary. They gave everybody else what they wanted, but when it was me, they didn't want to give it to me, or then they wanted to give it to me less. You know why they didn't? They wanted to keep me producing. They didn't want to kill the golden goose. And that's when I realized there are no friends in business. There are no friends. This was my friend who was my manager. There are no friends. Stephanie got promoted. Cole got promoted. Christian got promoted. John got promoted. But it was Kevin's turn. Oh, just wait. A few more months. Just wait. Oh, the other organization wants you? $60,000 base salary? We can only promote you up. Company says we can only move your salary 20%. So wait a minute. If I came outside of the company and didn't prove anything to the organization, you'd pay me $60,000. But coming from inside of the company where I'm a top 10% sales rep and have made $300,000 this quarter, you can only pay me $36,000? Make that make sense. Change that rule. Well, we can't. Okay. So in order to get that position, get that pay, well, you have to quit and be rehired. If you got something to say to me when I'm doing the presentation, put it in super chat. Do not interrupt me. Do not interrupt me. Moderators, if somebody says something rude or disparaging, time them out. Rude or disparaging directly, not vague. They can have an opinion. They can bellyache about racism, but you're going to tell me this. What does it have to do with keeping your mouth closed? So when that happened, you know what I did? I said, okay, I can't get what I want here. Did I keep my mouth closed? Did I just take it? No. I started looking for another job immediately. I didn't just go home and cry. I started looking for a job immediately. And 3 weeks later, I found the job that made my career. I went to work from company W to company A. Company A hired me in as a major account manager. The company hadn't even gone public yet. I was hired in as the second round of employees, the last one. I got pre-IPO stock options, which means I wasn't a founder of the company, but I was in the second round. The compensation worked like this. We need you to come in and sell 3 times as much as you did as anybody else in the industry. The industry example is the industry needs you to sell X. So you go to work for any company and the quota is X. We're trying to go public in a big way. So we need heavy hitters. We need people who can deliver. We need you to sell 3X. Understand something. They needed me to be 3 times better than I had ever been. And we need you to do it inside the first 30 days, not 3 months, not 6 months. From day one, I need you to be able to sell $10,000 in products and services. And my quota at the other place was 3,000. But here's the payoff. If you do it, we'll pay you 70% of the contract value. And you don't have to wait. You sell it month one, you get paid month two of the contract, of the face value of the contract. So let's say you bring in a $10,000 deal. You get paid $7,000 next month. Better than the 25% you were getting paid 3 months from now. If you can do it and do it consistently, when we open up new offices, we are going to promote to manager, to city VP from within, to manager from within. So when LA or San Francisco or New York opens, we are going to promote the people who actually sold here to management. And the managers that whose teams delivered here will become VPs. So understood, I had a choice to make. I had to go in and fight for a job. I had never sold $10,000 before. The most I had ever sold in a month was $4,000. And I sat across from this white man who said, look, man, you got to come here and with no net, no parachute, no safety net. You got to sell $10,000. That's the goal. But if you do.
The men don't want to compete, Kev. Either learn the rules and move to a new space.
No safety net. But if you can do that, here are all the rewards.
Kev, I'm not arguing with you, but wait till you hear my story.
Here are all the rewards. Now, I could have easily, and to understand something, the people who ran this organization were well known internationally. This small company had a bunch of heavy hitters. Here was my choice. I could have went back to work at the company that had told me, you're not gonna get what you want. Or I could say, I'll step up to the challenge. They didn't want to even offer me the job. I had to compete for it. And DJ said, I didn't want to offer it to you, but you've just been so persistent. We just thought we'd give you the shot. So day one, we go in. First sales meeting. Everybody has to do a forecast. And understand, when you do a forecast, that's what you say you're going to produce. How much you're going to produce this week. All these guys that work together at other organizations, at WorldCom, they knew each other. Most of them, only 4 of us from this sales recruitment of 15 were from outside. The other 11 knew each other from college or other organizations. They got to the only black guy in the room. I'll do 300 this month. 300 this week. I'll do 500 this week. I'll do 700 this week. They got to the black guy that they didn't want to hire, but never sold $10,000 worth of anything in a month. And they got to me and he said, how much are you going to do this week? I said, $4,000 without blinking. The guys were like, whoo, I remember this. I'll remember this forever in my life. Because whoo, Greg sat up and said, 4,000. This guy has some cojones. DJ's like, I'm not, 4,000. I'm not writing that down. I was like, write it. And I want you to understand what a guy that they did not want to hire, the first week comes in and says he's going to sell more than everybody at the table. And they all knew each other. Do you have that kind of balls? Do you have that kind of killer instinct? Could you man up and do that? No tightrope, never done it before. Would you have done it? 4,000. I'm not going to put, he says, so you want me to put this down, $4,000. Understand something. This is going up to Tony and the VPs. We cannot miss a forecast because it affects our ability to get investors. It's better to come in below the number than overshoot the number because we look like we're poor at forecasting. I said, I got it. And we had that stare down, you know, that gunslinger stare down. I'm getting excited just talking about this story because when you fucking know how to compete, when you have the killer instinct, that shit makes your dick hard. And I said, write it. All right, I'm gonna write it. The meeting broke up and DJ, an Irish man from Boston, We didn't like each other. We never would have worked well together. But he's like, you better get that number. I was like, who do you think you're talking to? I said, I'll have it. Came back Monday, and on Thursday, here you go. You ever see a white man turn pale? Not because you insulted him, not because he was scared of you, because you did something that he couldn't do. Because he thought you were just some black guy, just talking shit, swag and game. But no, you came in with a sale, all the paperwork, all the credit, immaculate paperwork, everything done right. You know what he recognized at that point? This guy's a player. This guy's real. This guy has what it takes. You know what he did? He said, we got to stop this. And a guy who really did not like me took the deal over and said, Tony, check this out. He's like, hold on. Even better. And Tony said, let's go over to Royce's office. Royce, this is the kid. This is the guy. And Royce, who co-authored the Telecom Act, looked at this pristine sale, $4,000. That's more than I'd ever sold. That's about as much as I had sold in 1 month at a previous company in a year. Now, what happened? Lit up cigars, talked. Do you think my name rang out after that? Do you think people knew me in the organization? Do you think I went from just being a guy they didn't want to hire to someone they need to look for? And guess what? That wasn't the first time. Continued over and over and over again. When somebody missed that sales forecast, Kevin, do you have any magic you can work? And the point is, I was able to do it because I had put in the work and I knew where to go get what I needed to get. Guess what? My 6 months had come up and they said takes about 6 months to get your position. When 6 months came in, we were at a meeting and they asked me how much you're going to produce. I'm like, I'll produce what I always produce. Where's my shot? I saw other people got promoted, people who had not sold as much as I did, but they already knew them. 6 months comes in. Oh, well, we thought we were going to promote you here, but this guy, and I said, look, man, and I'll give you the short story. When it was my time, other people were being promoted. I didn't just sit there. I did what white people would do, what we find acceptable. You're not going to keep passing me over promotion. I'm going to sit here and be quiet about it. We're in a sales meeting. I can sell all day long, but I'm not selling anything else. You want me to continue to produce? We're going to have to rearrange this deal. People in the office, people in the sales team are like, what are you doing? You're going to get fired. Fuck you. I can do it here. I can do it there. But by this time, I knew I could deliver. And you know what? I was promoted. I've told my New York promotion story before. Can you do these things? Do you have the instinct, the killer instinct to do it? We got promoted to New York, took over the second worst team. They became the seventh best team, and on and on and on. See, killer instinct, the ability to deliver. I knew I could deliver on an individual level, but then I got promoted to a management job. In a management job, here's the main reason. Many black men are afraid, in my personal opinion, because you don't honestly believe that white men will follow you. You don't believe that people who don't look like you will follow you, that you can lead them, that they will listen to you and do what you ask them to do out of respect, out of admiration. Far too many of you think, and this is what we got to talk about. See, when Kevin and Keith and these other guys got promoted, they were friends. They get hired in as friends. They move around as friends. Do your non-Black colleagues like you? Maybe. Do they respect you enough to follow you if you were put in a position of leadership? Sadly, the answer for far too many guys is no. This is how the average Black man, if he gets promoted, in my opinion, does it. He has to leave the company and go try to get a job somewhere else. He can't get promoted up through the lines Because to get promoted up through the lines, you got to play the game. People have to like you, respect you, think you can deliver, because it's not a popularity contest. There's real world stakes on the line. And that's too much pressure for a lot of men who were raised by their mama to handle. That's why I said, are you too weak to compete in corporate America? Do you have the intestinal fortitude, the mental toughness, the discipline, the killer instinct? Let's talk about it. You can call me, you can say what you want to about racism, such and so forth, but if they put you in the game, can you get the results? Can you make it happen? Can you get the results? Do you know you can get the results? Do you have the skills to get the results? Do you have the skills to get people under you to work for you on your behalf without saying, do it because I'm your manager and I say so? Can you really lead, motivate, teach? Can you do these things? If not, then it's not a white man holding you back. It's you lack. You lack. You lack. How many black men who I know who are attorneys who will never make partner because they're not on the partnership path. They don't have the skills. Look in their own personal lives. In your own personal lives, do you have your wolf pack? Do people follow you in your personal life, or are you a loner? See, a bunch of you loners, lone wolves, I don't need nothing. What I say, black men, we've been raised to, my opinion, black men have been raised to mythologize the struggle. This is why you need one-on-one coaching you need these skills. Shameless plug. There it is, corporate advice, interpersonal communication. It is one of the most popular things that I'd sell and work with guys. Learning how to navigate the corporate world, getting some advice. Because here's the funny thing. When I learned these things, I learned corporate skills. I learned these corporate skills throughout my internships. Shout out to O'Shea. We need to talk about how internships set me up for success, because what I learned in those internships was how to move. That's what I learned in those internships, was how to move. It ain't just about the job. It's about how you move. So I'm going to open this up. Because I want to hear from people who think I'm wrong. I want to hear from people who think I'm wrong. I want to hear from people who think it has little, that it's really the white man. It's really not what I'm talking about, because you got to ask yourself a question. Why are sisters being able to do it? See, there's another thing. There's a reason why a lot of sisters can get into entry-level management, but they can't go any higher, because there is a boys club. There is a boys club. And in order to move up higher, communications coaching, in order to move up higher, requires a blend of masculine skills. It's about leadership. It's not about managing. It's about leadership. What about racism? What about it? What about racism? None of the stuff that I just talked about had anything. I was a black man doing it. I was a black man looking in a white guy's face, and I told him, I'm not doing it anymore. They told me they wouldn't give me what I deserved. I didn't take it. I went and found another opportunity. And after I told Daryl, this is not acceptable. When I came back and told him I found another job, you know what? You know what this white guy asked me? Could you stay here for the next 2 weeks and go close your accounts? He actually thought that our friendship was enough for me to go out and still sell for a company that I will be competing against in 2 weeks. And I looked at Daryl, I said, I need you to understand what you just asked me. You asked me to go out and, as someone you know is going to work for a competitor, talk to your customers.
Even corporate jobs are being automated away, but you can't automate plumbing or learn hardware support. You can't outsource that. Hashtag entrepreneurship.
That has absolutely nothing to do with corporate America. This is not about entrepreneurship. This is about corporate America. I need you black men to fucking focus. This is another thing that people look and say, what's the problem? Why is it that I've had this conversation and you still hear folks talking about, yeah, but what about being a trailblazer? And what about Jay-Z and owning your own business? We're talking about corporate America. You know why black men don't want to talk about corporate America? Because you're not there. You're a high school graduate. You didn't go to college. And for the ones that did go to college, you lack the skills to move anything outside of entry level. So you got to talk about what you know, being a plumber. And this is not an insult. But unless you're the top plumber in your state, in your city, if I can't go to your city and type best plumber in Oakland or best plumber in whatever, and your website does not come up first on Google, don't talk to me. Because you ain't competing. Do you have a fleet of trucks and 40 employees? Man, anyway. Oh, Jesus. So let me do this. I really do want to I also want to talk to guys who have questions about how to actually move better. But I really want to hear the people who think that, honestly believe that black men are the victims of something other than the main thing holding black men back, especially today. It's not loving their dreadlocks. It's not anything I discussed in the last two calls. Let's get to it. But understand something. I want you to understand something before we go. Understand something. Every time you say I feel, I'm going to stop you. I expect to talk to grown men, grown professional men about getting out here and competing in the corporate world. Those are the men. Because it is a shame that more of us are not in middle management and upper management. It is a shame. 40 years ago, 30 years ago, you had a real case for the white male only boys club. Today, not so much. You don't have to get on the camera. No, so Derek Smith, every person's journey will always be different. What works for Kevin will not work for you. So all bullshit. This is another one of those things that only God can judge me in this hippy dippy. There are no rules. Young man, God understands something. I'm a corporate image consultant, and I'm also a former corporate professional. This is something that men need to understand. It ain't all. That's a feminine way of thinking. Everybody's different. That's like more there's body acceptance or fat acceptance. No, man. Success has a formula. Why do you think you get into middle and upper management and it looks a lot the same? I'm not even talking about the face. I'm talking about look at the way they dress. See, that's more of that stuff. That's more of that make it easy on my psyche stuff versus shut up and compete. Why'd you go to the college you went to? If you went to college, why didn't you go to Ivy League? Because you couldn't get in. You didn't go to Harvard, Princeton, Yale because you couldn't get in. You weren't good enough. See, I didn't grow up in this generation where of 8th place trophies. That was first, second, and third. The first place trophy was huge. Second place was small. Third place was a fucking certificate. And that's where you learned you rank. A lot of you guys need a wake-up call and realize where you rank. You don't. And if you don't, why are you there? If you're going to be there, you need to win. If you're going to work for someone else, you need to make as much money and climb as high and as fast as you can. Because there will come a time to where you'll be too old or cost too much and they'll get rid of you. He said, "Oh, listen to this. Listen to this stuff." What up, Grinch? What did he say? Or maybe I wanted to stay home and take care of my mom, or when she's stronger, I'll be ready for it. Let me tell you something. If you're really out here competing, you'd be making enough money for your mom to have the best care. More excuses. See, men don't make excuses. Men make ways. So I need you to juxtapose this about things a lot of you guys say about women. Listen to how these guys out here are supposed to be the leaders, the warriors, the fighters. Do you hear killer instinct? Do you hear competitiveness? Do you hear solutions? Do you hear any of that stuff? Or do you hear, what do you think women hear when they listen to these guys? Guys who are saying these kind of things. Come on, guys, let's do it. Which word can replace fulfill? You need to think. What you think and what you know is what is more important. I don't care about what you feel. I care about what you know. How can Black men possibly be rehearsed in terms of his basic manhood? Is this a conversation about basic manhood? Again, you know where Black men like that are ahead of? In your swag, your game, and your sex skills. And that's enough for far too many Black men today. I won't compete, but I'll have swag, game, and I'll tie my manhood up with my ability to reproduce and have sex. Go right ahead. You want to go through life as a bed buck, knock yourself out. But see, when I was in my 20s, I had a very active sex life. See, we learned, shout out to Alan Roger Curry, we learned that you do both. We learned that you good in a personal life and your professional life. See, again, I'm not hearing, it ain't got nothing to do with the crack era. So it has nothing to do with the crack era. Listen to these excuses. And I'm saying they're excuses. Excuses. What does the crack era have to do with you training your boss, you training your replacement, or you getting passed over a promotion and keeping your mouth closed and not saying anything? Why would you do that? They use a promotion's on the horizon, you want it, they pass over you, you don't say nothing. Why would you do that? Don't you realize that companies oftentimes want to see what you're made of? Let me tell you something. I learned this when I worked in restaurants. General managers and owners want customers to complain if something's wrong. They just want you to do it the right way because they want to fix it. They don't want you coming into their restaurant, ordering the red snapper, having horrible service, your food not tasting good, and you just keeping your mouth closed and leaving. See, one thing the Black men do not like to do is complain the right way. But you'll see white men, white women, you'll see everyone else complaining. You'll even see Black women complain, although, you'll see them complaining. But a general manager who owns the restaurant, they want to know because they want to improve. Thank you, Mr. Samuels, for bringing this to our attention. This isn't how it normally happens here, sir. We're going to comp your meal and the next one's on us, because then they take it back and fix it. They don't want to keep serving bad snapper to the market. Why are you black men so afraid to complain? Oh, because you don't know if you can do
I
it
was
without.
agreeing with you, just reiterating how DMs sound when using phrases like sharing our stories.
Yeah, I
and
get
feel.
it. I get it. You don't want to complain because honestly, you know, you may lack the emotional vocabulary. You know that you get upset and you may start acting out of character. I gave you the phone call the other day when I was talking to the Hebrew Israelite. When he started getting animated, it was, Can you actually advocate for yourself and keep it cool? Dave Chappelle, when keeping it real goes wrong, and that guy had been moved up, working 16, 18-hour days, and Frank said, all right, so give me some skin. He should have just let it go. But he went off on Frank. And where'd he end up? Pumping gas. Sean Rucker. I'm gonna tell you, man. Sean Rucker is gonna be a partner in a law firm, and I guarantee you, 10 years from now, I will get an email or a phone call or something from that guy saying, the work we did when I was graduating college in my early years has paid off huge dividends. I guarantee you, 10 years from now, even 5 years from now, that man's going to be a player, because we've had some very direct, very difficult, meaningful conversations.
Investing in my tuition.
I want to help you black men with what I can. Help me help you. Talk to me. I'm not your enemy. I'm a corporate professional who's a corporate image consultant. I mean, you can pay $849 an hour to talk to me. You can knock yourself out and pay my corporate rate. Go ahead. But I'm not charging you what I charge the world. What are you doing? Shout out to BGS, because when that brother asked me several years ago to make a video about Lawrence, one of the things he was asking me is like, I got black men over here who are accomplished on the resume standpoint, but who are still struggling getting the life part together. And a huge part of it is image, how you view yourself and how the world views you. You can do something about that. Where are your trophies? Where are your Chairman's Club certificates? Where are your President's Club certificates?
Gentlemen, please understand Kevin is stating this out of a genuine recognition that we are capable of more. It isn't to say it is easy, but we can and must achieve more.
That's why I'm saying we got to do it. I mean, if you're a salesperson, I believe sales is one of the most freeing professions and one of the few things that black men can get into that don't require high-level degree. You can make a tremendous amount of money, but understand something. When I was a young sales rep, I realized that I'm really good at selling and closing, but you can't keep that level of activity up, knocking on 50 doors every day. You're not supposed to be an entry-level salesperson. You're supposed to move up, because by age 35, you don't have the energy you did as a 25-year-old man. You're supposed to move up. You're supposed to become an OG. You're supposed to be able to move things more. And see, the trick is not getting into entry-level management. Entry-level management is like first-year law. It's like organic chemistry. Entry-level management is a washout. Let me tell you about my first entry-level management job and the failure. When I got promoted to entry-level management and I had a staff for me, I had zero management skills. I thought I was like Magic Johnson. If you think about Magic Johnson when he was on the court and then as a basketball coach, I did not understand I did not realize that I thought everybody should be like me. You should have my work ethic. I mean, you should just do like what I do. If I just tell you what to do, you'll do it. So I went into my first management job and I said, here's what we're going to do. I gave orders. I didn't build rapport. I didn't try to get anybody on my side. I didn't try to sell them to get on my plan. You govern, you lead and govern by consensus of the masses. I came in thinking, here's my title. This is what you do. You know what that was? You do it because I'm your mama and I say so. That's what my management style was. I can admit that truth about myself. I came in managing like my mama raised me. Do it because I say so. I brought you in this world, I take you out. You know, it was all stick. Do what I say or I'll fire you. But you know what? Fear works a little bit. I fired a couple of people. But guess what? When you're not producing, you're not making your numbers, you got a little bit more leeway as a manager. You can fire and hire people, but eventually they get rid of the leader because they're like, well, it can't be everybody else's problem. It's got to be you. So when I almost got fired as a manager because they said it's easier to replace one manager than 7 people. You know what I went to my team and said? Are you ready for this? I was wrong. I came in here arrogant, damn near conceited, full of myself, not caring about what you wanted. I was wrong. But the thing is, guys, I didn't do it to hurt you. I did not know. I humbled myself before my team and said, I can't unring that bell. Some of you guys may never like me, but I will. Here's this point going forward. I will do whatever it takes to help you reach your goal. So going forward, I've destroyed my credibility with some of you guys. But I vow, if you give me another chance to lead you, we can win together. You know what those people looked at me? People chuckle, people laugh, people call in. Here's the number. Here's a number. Moderators, keep putting that in there. And believe me. And I started having meetings one-on-one with people. And my meetings went from do a bunch of me giving orders, doing this, to tell me about your family. How'd you get here? It was all about the people. I changed. I was going to get fired if I didn't. And I changed. How'd you change, Kevin? Did you just wake up and have a come to Jesus meeting? A moment? No. My upper management said, hey, man, it can't always be them. It's got to be you. Did they have any courses for me in the organization? No. I went and looked for entry-level management courses, and I got a consultant. And I paid a consultant $2,500 to talk to me, to listen to to role play, to basically help me fix my stuff. And he said, what's your management style? What's your management philosophy? He's like, I didn't even realize that managers aren't parents. He's like, managers, you work for your people. They don't work for you. Servant leadership. All these terms I'd never heard. You know what I thought management was? Being a parent. I say you do. I had been parented that way. I had pets. So ask yourself a question. Would you be willing would you have done that? Would you have honestly done what I did? Would you have taken the input from your management, went your pocket, and try to find an answer? Or would you have just kept saying, well, fuck it, forget it, and then got fired and then blamed it on the manager? That they fired me because I'm black. They ain't following me because they ain't doing what I say because I'm black. What would you have done? What would you have done? What would you have done? All right. Understand something. Let's see the waiting room. Okay. Here we go. Go ahead. iPad 3. See, Kildu says the truth. Kildu said the truth. Hold on. Kildu said the truth. He said, I would have honestly looked for a job before they fired me. And see, I want you to understand right there. You would have gotten no better. You would have taken the same bad experiences into a new relationship. How often do men complain about women taking stuff from their ex out on them? That's exactly what you would have done if you got into management. What's going on, man? What's your first name? Hello? All right. I need you to mute the channel in the background. And your name says iPad 3. So,
Hello?
yes. What is your name?
Hey, hello. Yeah, my name is Ateba.
Who?
Ateba. I live in Switzerland.
Atima?
Ateba. Ateba.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been following everything you've been saying. And I understand that you said that you only want to talk to those who disagree. Fortunately, I don't disagree. However, I just want to share something very important to my Black brothers and sisters who are listening or who are watching. I am a Black man, African Black man. I grew up in California, Los Angeles. Spent my kindergarten to high school, graduated there from high school, and then I moved to Europe. I live in Switzerland. Switzerland is a country that is not open to the world. Things are very different. It's not America. It's not a cosmopolitan country, but I found my way there. I work for Tesla, a place where you won't see Black men in the street and every corner of the street.
Okay,
No.
brother, we're gonna have to get to. I understand you got a story, but can you speed it up?
All right. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that what you're saying is absolutely true. And like you said, I have to speed up. So I'm just going to ask you a quick question.
Okay.
Working in a company like Tesla, in an environment where you find very, very few, because I'm the only Black man currently in the city where I am.
Okay.
What advice would you give me to grow in the company and to get to that level of management?
Okay. So, couple of things in your background. What is your, did you go to college?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your job title?
I'm a sales advisor.
Sales advisor. So,
Yeah.
How long have you been with the organization?
I joined Tesla last year, so it's been a year now. Yeah.
So the first thing I would suggest doing is understanding what the career path looks like for the average sales advisor. Do you know what that career path looks like for the average sales advisor? What's the next step?
The next step is sales and marketing manager.
And then what's the step above that?
A step above that, I'm not so sure. Let me just have a quick look.
Okay, so right there, right there is one hole in your game.
Yeah.
You got to know what's next. You always got to know what the next two steps are, because then you're going to have to go to your manager or your manager's manager or HR and say, I need a career path. What does it take to get from here to there? You need to know time frame. You need to know skill sets. And then that's the thing. You need a plan. I mean, you went to college, right? So you didn't you didn't get a degree just by throwing a bunch of courses on the wall. You had a curriculum, and you had things you were supposed to do your freshman, fall, freshman, senior. I mean, spring. Every year you progressed. You need to approach your life that way as well. And also, number two, if you're in Switzerland, wherever you're. Switzerland. And, so you're not in America, but see, the thing is, still, corporate mentorship is not going to be really available. You're going to need a coach, a consultant, because you may be effective at what you do, but the skill sets to move up to next two levels are something you don't necessarily have. And in order to
All right.
get them and be successful in maintaining them, you have to be able to already have them. Let me say that again. Being an effective salesperson is fine, but being a manager and a leader is a different skill set. And that's why I've just told the story about how I was able to get a shot in management, but I almost lost it because I was always thinking about acquisition, not maintenance. Last question. Do your colleagues on your team and in the office, are you well liked and respected as a professional?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. On that
How
point,
does what does upper management think about you?
actually, right now they want to move me to Doha
Okay.
to launch a Tesla project for the World Cup 2022, because they want Tesla wants to be part of the
Okay. So they want
2022
to.
World Cup. Yeah,
Okay.
they
So
want me to.
okay.
So right
So
now they're
so
asking me to
hold
work on a presentation
on.
for the
Hold on. Hold
project.
on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. All right.
Yeah.
Understand something.
Yeah.
That is an opportunity. How are you? These are things why you're going to need a consultant. How are you going to make the most out of that opportunity? Because far too. So it sounds like you have some pieces to work with, but
Yeah.
they're just pieces. You need to
Mhm.
sit down and say how this all fits together in your plan to get what you want out of Tesla. How long do you plan on working for Tesla?
5 years.
5 years. So you only want to be there 5 years, and you've been there how long?
I've been there 1 year. Yeah.
1 year. Okay. What do you want to do after 5 years? Where do you plan on going after
After
that?
after 5 years, I'm planning on launching my startup company. Yeah.
Start up in what?
Startup in electric mobility. Yeah. That's why I joined Tesla.
Electric what? Electric.
Mobility. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different skill set. Understand something. Completely different skill set being an entrepreneur and a business owner versus working. So this is why you need lots
Yeah.
of consultants.
All right.
Consulting.
Mhm.
That's what is.
Yeah.
So again, uh, I tell guys, you need to be putting at least 5% of your gross into personal development. You got a lot of
Mhm.
work you got to have done because you say 5 years you want to be doing your own thing. Do you at this point? 5 years will be gone pretty quickly. There's what skill
Absolutely.
that what, and
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to tell you, hold on. You're not really going to get any of those skills in corporate America that map over to being an entrepreneur. They're different
Yeah.
things. That's why
Yes, sir.
80+% of small businesses fail because of the IQ and EQ of the owner. I would suggest you book some time with me, either in a career advice one-on-one or
Yes, sir.
interpersonal communication, because these skills are massive. Big things coming up. But I appreciate you calling in, fam.
Yeah, it's a
Thank you.
pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Nice. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
So guys, understand something. Understand something. That you see what I just said, you're not understand something. You got to have plans. Plans on how you plan on getting out of it. See, it's not enough to say there are no opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities out there now, especially in today's world. So I wanted to do this follow-up broadcast because of just the sheer amount of pushback we're getting from guys who just did not seem to understand what's going on. But hold on, let me see. Is O'Shea and Obsidian doing the show right now? They started. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this broadcast. Let me go ahead and do this. Guys, understand something. Your godfather is trying to help you out. And to my non-black viewers, appreciate it. You guys be patient with what I'm trying to get done. Guys, I realize that black men, there's not a lot of people out there talking to black men. And our issues are unique, but they can be overcome. They're unique, but they can be overcome. But you have to have a proactive killer instinct, and you have to be looking for solutions, not excuses or reasons why it can't happen. All right, guys, here's the show. When I get rid, I'm gonna drop off over here. Everybody go over to O'Shea and Obsidian Show. I will check you guys later. Deuces. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.